So today we're going to do a Robinhood investing for beginners full tutorial. We're going to be breaking down how the app works and how we're going to go ahead and actually be able to make money on this app. Obviously you can see right now we're actually recording this during a downturn in the market, which is great. This is actually a great time to be investing if you are able to, but understandably some people might not be able to. But let's go ahead and kind of break some of these things down. So first and foremost, we're here on the main page of Robinhood. This is what you're going to see when you go ahead and load up. You're going to actually see your dollar amount. That is currently what is available for you in value with the stocks that you currently hold. So we have $7,188.14. And if you toggle over here towards that bottom, you can see where it says like 1D, that stands for 1 day. We have here that stands for 1 week, then 1 month, 3 months, year to date as well too, which again, pretty tough year, but still looking pretty good for long-term investing for us. And then you can see right underneath here, it's going to say buying power. This is going to show how much money you actually have currently available to be able to buy into the market. Now, the interesting thing is we're going to go into more detail here, how buying power actually differentiates from how much you can be withdrawing from the account, as well as some other different features and understandings with the buying power, which again, we'll go over here in a little bit. So what we're going to now do is kind of scroll down here a little bit. And the next thing you're going to see is the cash section of Robinhood. Now, if you're not too familiar, Robinhood will actually give you the opportunity to hold cash into your account, almost like a bank account, but they really call it more of like a money management system. Currently, you can see the interest rate is 1.5. There's actually a way to bump that up quite a bit more with their monthly subscription service called Robinhood Gold. And then you can see how much money you're accruing for the month, lifetime interest paid out, and then cash earning interest as well, which is how much is actually being earned. And that could be different from your buying power, but as of this recording, this is actually going to be the exact same thing. Obviously, there's a little section for depositing money, but there's a whole way to do that, not just from this section, to be able to deposit more money. Now, before we continue on with more of this tutorial, if you have yet to sign up for Robinhood and do still want to go through that process, check out my link in the show notes down below. That will help you get started with opening up an account and give you a nice little bonus for you, which you'll actually get a fractional share of a stock, which is really cool because you can actually own small portions of one share of a stock versus having to buy the whole thing individually. And that's a really cool feature that we'll be getting into here with Robinhood. So as we continue scrolling down here, you're going to see the section that says stocks. These are all the stocks that you actually have in your portfolio. So you can see here we have LDI, SoFi, Hood. All these are the ticker symbols for the companies. And if you click in there, it'll break them down a lot more. And then the nice thing is, for anybody that hasn't really used this yet, if you hold these down, you can actually readjust these any way you want to. So they're actually not stagnant in that particular order. You can rearrange them as needed. Now, of course, we're going to be wanting to buy some more stocks, whether they're the ones already in our portfolio or ones that we want to be looking at and potentially be buying in the future. And we're going to go into those steps as well too. Now you can see here, there's this discover more option, and this is going to give you options that give you features in the app itself. As you can see here, there is Robinhood Gold, which is that feature I was telling you about just a little bit ago. And you can learn more about that here in just a little bit. There is also margin investing and other options as well. And as we scroll down, we're going to see here, this is our watch list. So these are companies that we're keeping an eye on. We want to kind of pay attention to. Some of them are stocks that we actually already own. You can see like Netflix, we technically already own that. And then you got other companies like Airbnb, Square, all these different companies we can keep an eye on. So as we keep scrolling, you're going to see an option here that says options watch list, which you can also do options trading on here. I personally don't do options trading in these videos, so that will be something for another time, but you can actually do watch list for those. So that's everything on the main page. And like I said, we're going to actually break down about how to buy and sell your stocks on the app as well. But before we actually go through that part of it, there's a few more tabs that we want to click through. So you can see now at the bottom here, there are 4 different icons. One is currently highlighted. That's the page we are on right now. The next one looks like a dollar right over here, and this is actually going to take you to the spending page. Now, we talked about earlier that if you actually have money sitting in your account, you can actually essentially have it under the money management portion, which will actually earn you that interest. This is that area here for you. So the really cool feature here is that you do get the Robinhood Cash Card, which is a free debit card to be able to use anywhere online or offline as well. You can see here you could fund the account, you can activate your card as well, and you do have the Roundup rewards enrolled, which is essentially rounding up any change into stocks that you currently own. They also do have cash card offers, so you can scroll through here and see different offers. You can actually even put your paychecks directly into Robinhood, and then you can find ATMs to be able to withdraw money entirely for free, as well as some other general settings as well. And then you do have your debit card here at the bottom, and if you continue to actually slide, you can see it's kind of pulling. It actually pulls into your actual debit card, so you can get your information with your expiration date and CVC number, and a whole bunch of other lists such as locking your card or setting your PIN as well. Now let's go ahead and close that off and then we're going to go to the next section right over here that looks kind of like a piece of newspaper. That's effectively what this is. You're going to actually have your S&P 500 and NASDAQ and actually even Bitcoin little trackers here at the top. And then if you scroll down, you're actually going to see news. Now, here's the really cool thing with the news. You're going to see the title of the news, and you're going to see the stocks that are kind of affected by this news, whether it's directly the company they're talking about or indirectly. You're also going to have some videos here and then some daily movers as well. So if you're wanting to just be really involved with what's going on in the market, this is a great place to be. Now, the last icon over here on the right, this is going to be your profile account. So this is going to bring up your profile account. You can see right over here, I currently have a picture of myself. You also have a little name over there that you can have, kind of like a tag. And then it's going to show how much you actually have total in Robinhood. You can see a little bit of a breakdown here with total investments, brokerage holdings, maybe any cash holdings, and then crypto holdings if you choose to go that route, as well as the spending account too. Now, obviously, there is a transfer button over here. So if you click here, it actually will take you to the transfer section. There is also another way to get to this page as well, and I'll show you here in just a moment. But if we break this down right over here, you can see the first option is to actually be able to transfer money, whether it's from Robinhood to your bank account or from your bank account to Robinhood. So from here, you're going to be able to type in how much you want. So you can go like $100. And it says from which account, and you can choose which account you want to choose from. External are your bank accounts outside of Robinhood that you want to transfer from. You can also add an additional account if you needed to. So we're going to go ahead and choose our bank account that we have on file, and then it automatically chooses our brokerage account that we want. Now, right over here, it shows that $100. If we click on review, this is going to just bring us to the next page here, and you could do the frequency change here if you want to go ahead and change it to maybe like a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or quarterly type of deposit. And then you can see right over here, you can transfer the money. So the really cool thing with Robinhood is they have this feature called instant deposit, where you can actually get up to $1,000 of your money that you're transferring instantly while that transfer is still happening in the background. So you can go ahead and use that money to go ahead and invest into the stock market right away. So if we click on transfer here, this is actually going to go through this process, and you're going to see here it says deposit initiated, and it will take a couple of days to go through that process. We can click on continue at the bottom. And right over here, that is that instant deposit available feature that I was just telling you about. If you have Robinhood Gold, it takes it from $1,000 all the way to $5,000. Now, the really interesting thing with this is that it's up to $1,000 originally. And then once that money clears, you have access to that $1,000 instantly again. But keep in mind, it is still officially pulling from your bank account. So you need to make sure you have that money available for them to pull. So we click on continue. And then that just takes us back to the transfer page. And that $100 will show up into our buying power, which you'll see here in just a moment. You can also schedule automatic deposits here. You can also do pay by check if you have any money in your account to pay other people. And then you can transfer accounts into Robinhood. So if by any chance you have something like Webull or Public Invest or even M1 Finance or Fidelity or Vanguard, any of those kind of accounts, you can actually transfer them into here to be able to just have those stocks that you hold from those institutions over to Robinhood, keeping in mind any fees that come from transferring from those accounts. So you can click on continue, and it'll take you through that process of being able to make that happen. Now we're just going to go ahead and close off this example here today because we're not fully doing the transfers. We're going to go ahead and close that off again, and we're going to go back into our account settings. And what we actually want to do is look at the three lines up at the top left hand here, the hamburger icon. This is going to bring up our main menu for Robinhood. This is where you're going to be able to see a lot of different features that you might need, such as your investing section right over here at the top. If you click on here, this will show you a lot of great information when it comes to investing onto Robinhood. You can see your instant deposit health. This is essentially saying that up to that $1,000, it'll tell you how much of the limit you have available, how much you're currently using, and then you can see all the different features here. So like I mentioned, you don't always get the $1,000 every single time. You have to wait for some of that to go through, and then you have that cleared up amount to be able to redeposit instantly. You also have right over here reoccurring investments. So if you have individual stocks that you're constantly buying on a regular basis, you can see them all in one place over here instead of going into each stock. You also have dividend and reinvesting, which is a very powerful tool. If you want to go ahead and enable this to be able to reinvest any dividends that get paid out from companies back into the stocks that pay them. And then you have a cash sweep program right over here. This is where you actually earn that interest on the money just sitting into your account. So if that's enabled, you earn it. And then they also have a stock lending here, which you can go ahead and read more about if you want to earn a little bit of money on your stocks that you're holding. And then right over here, you have some option trading and margin trading available as well. Again, you can learn more about these individually by clicking on them, but just something to know that they are there for you. They also have this day trading metric right over here. So just kind of go through this and understand, doing any kind of day trading on Robinhood, there are some limitations for you if that's something you did want to do. Now going back to the menu page over here, then you have the spending that kind of goes back into the debit card if you want to keep going into that. Then there's also crypto. If you click on here, you can actually see, you can do any transfers with the blockchain transfers, which is really nice if you want to go ahead and move crypto from or to Robinhood. And then there is the other transfer option right over here. I mentioned if you click here, it'll actually take you right back to the transfer page. So again, there are multiple options to be able to go to transfers. Then you also have your history over here. So if you click on your history, you can see transfers coming in. You can see your buys and your sells. You could even use your filters up at the top, depending on which account you want to see and what type of transfers or activities you want to see from your account. Now let's go ahead and go back over here. And then of course you're going to see your statements here. This is where you're going to have your documents. This is also where you're going to find your tax information as well too. So at the end of every tax year, we want to go ahead and check here, usually around February. You're going to find your tax information when it comes to stock market investing. So just something to keep in mind. You'll see where it says tax documents at the bottom there. And then of course, you're going to have your security and privacy, some settings, crypto gifting, and then any support that you might need. And then of course, you can be logging out of your account at the very bottom if needed. And of course, if you want to see your Robinhood account number and routing number, you can go ahead and show those from the very bottom over there. Now, that's pretty much mostly everything you're going to see in the menu. There is that little gold icon on the top right. That is going to take you to the Robinhood Gold feature. This will break down a lot more for you. You can see here it's $5 a month, and you can learn more about it if you want to. Two biggest things is that it's going to increase the amount of interest that you're earning on your money just sitting in the account. You can see it jumps to 3.75 as of this recording, and it gives you that bigger instant deposit right over here. It usually starts about 5,000, but it can continue to go up as you hold more money into your account, and some other really cool features if you decide to go that route. So a couple other little things to note on the main page here. At the very top right, you're going to see the bell icon. If you click on here, this will show you any notifications, whether it's deposits, purchases, selling stocks. Everything you're going to see right over here are quick notifications. There is a little magnifying glass right over here where you can actually search for stocks. You can also look at lists right over here as well too, so you can see like 100 most popular stocks. And we'll get into, when it comes to buying stocks, how to find those stocks by themselves. And then you're going to have a little rewards icon here. Once you start using the app and you end up liking it, you can go ahead and recommend it to friends and family members, so that way they can go ahead and sign up. And the cool thing is they get a piece of a stock as well as you getting a piece of a stock. So it's a win-win for sharing this information with other people if you want to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we're here on the main page after going through everything else when it comes to utilizing Robinhood on the back end with the menus and some of the other features. So now we want to understand, how do we buy and sell stocks that we're interested in? Now, like I mentioned earlier in our stock section, these are stocks we already own. So we can just click on the stock we own, and then there's the trade option that pops up right over here. And we can do a couple different options. We could do a trade option, we can sell, or we can buy. Now, obviously for buying, we can click on the buy button. But before we actually do that, I want to show you how to actually even find a stock if you're maybe starting from scratch to be able to find and do this buy. So we're going to go ahead and click the magnifying glass here at the top, and we're going to go ahead and search for a company. Now, you could either type in their ticker number if you know it, or you can go ahead and just type in the entire company's name. So for this example, we're just going to use Apple, a very well-known stock here. So you can see Apple stock right here, AAPL. And what we're going to do is actually just click on the name right over here. So from here, you're going to see Apple stock, and you're going to be able to see its own performance over, the course of the year, the 3 months, 5 years, all that information there. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, this is going to give you some details when it comes to Apple, a little bit about them. You can see the CEO, number of employees, and you can see some stats. I usually encourage people to go to other websites before actually officially trusting all these stats, because sometimes they can be a little delayed. So if you want to see this at a glimpse, that's fine, but also just double check on other websites just to see the latest up-to-date information. Nice thing is they also have news for each stock individually when it comes to this. Obviously, Apple is pretty popular, so you're going to have a ton of news popping up on a regular basis, where some companies might not be as up-to-date with news because it's not as relevant. So you can see here, this also has like an analyst rating. Not every stock is going to have this, but this one's going to show you where the buy, hold, and sell leaning is going. And you can see right over here with 42 analysts, you can see what bulls are saying, you can see what bears are saying, and you can click on see more. And if you have Robinhood Gold, this is also going to open up a lot more information for you to be able to learn more. But again, you can get this information from other websites. And you can see right over here, they have the earnings from what was expected and what is actually earned and when their next earning call is typically. You can see also related lists. This also just gives you an idea of, things that are similar. So if you want to see more companies from California or more hardware companies or more software companies, that's going to give you that range of ideas to look for more stocks. And then right over here, you can see where it says people also own. So based off of how many people are owning Apple and some of the other stocks they own, you can see other companies. This just gives you an idea of ways to find new companies that you might have not noticed before to be able to start doing some additional research on and possibly adding to your portfolio. And then you can see here at the very bottom, it says today's volume, how much is being traded in that given day when it comes to this given stock, which is at this example, 35,192. And so now what we can do is learn a little bit more about this graph, because graphs are a little bit important if you want to get some really good details. So if we go to the 3-month chart, there's this little extender over here on the right side of the graph. If we click on here, this takes you into a lot more detail. Now, we're not going to go into a lot of examples here because you can learn a little bit more individually with this, but this is just to let you know all the details for this. Now, you can also see the little gear icon after the 5-year marker. So if we click the 5 years, there's a little gear over here, and you can change this to candlesticks, and then you can also show extended hours. So if you want to switch to candlesticks, you can have that changed right over here and have it whichever way you prefer. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you how to buy your first stock on Robinhood. So right over here, what you're going to see is the actual stock itself, and you're going to see that trade option. Now from here, you're going to see where it says trade options or buy. Now, not to confuse people, but trade options are a little bit different than just buying a stock. So for this example, we're going to click on the buy option itself. Now over here, it's going to take you to a page that looks just like this. It's going to ask you how many shares that you want to buy of Apple. Now let's go ahead and just say 1 for this example. Now there's a couple different things. One, you can see under the buy Apple icon, you can see right underneath it how much money we have available, which is $100.88. And 1 full share of Apple is actually going to cost us $148.11 if we buy it at the current market price. Now, obviously that is more than what we currently have available for buying power. But the really cool thing is if you clicked on review, this is actually going to show you that you don't have enough buying power. So you can go ahead and make a deposit from right over here to be able to add into your account. Now we're going to go ahead and dismiss that for a second. So here's a really cool thing with Robinhood and kind of most apps nowadays, you can do fractional shares. So for this example, if we actually click the little dot first and do 0.5, so essentially half a share, you can see right over here, the estimated cost is only $74.06. So instead of buying 1 full share of Apple, we're going to buy half a share of Apple, and that's going to allow us to be able to get invested into the company without having to pay for the full price of 1 share. Now, this is a great way for a lot of people to get started when you don't have a ton of funds to be able to invest in a bunch of companies all at once. You can do smaller amounts, and this is going to really have an impact long term for you. So for this example, if we did that half share, it'd be that $74. You can click on review. It's going to give you a summary, and then you can swipe up, and then it'll go ahead and go through. Now, if you're doing this midday while the market is open, it will go through the process right away. Now, if you do this like with me recording right now, we're actually recording at night. So it's going to go ahead and swipe up, and it's going to show you right over here that the order has been received. And then from here, it's going to show you that the order is queued. So it's going to be ready to go once the market is open. It'll tell you how much of the share you're going to get, and then the estimated cost. You can click on view order or click on done, and it'll take you back to this page, and you can see upcoming activities. Now, if you change your mind before the market opens, of course, you can click on here and cancel your order, and it'll tell you when the next market open is, so that way you can get ready and prepared for that. Now, there are a few other things that we want to pay attention to with the buy option. So if we actually go back to our buy option here, there's a lot more on this page that we want to talk about, even though it looks like it's a pretty simple page. On the top right, you're going to see where it says shares. If you click on here, this brings you a plethora of options here that you might have not realized before when it comes to buying on Robinhood. Now, you can see over here at the very top, it says market order. If you click the little information icon, it'll break down a little bit more for you. So just keep that in mind when it comes to wanting to learn more. Robinhood does a good job of giving you that information. So you can actually see here, it says buy in dollars right over here. If you actually click on buy in dollars, this switches to a different looking screen. Now, what this actually does is very similar to buying in fractional shares, like we kind of talked a little bit about earlier. And you can see how much money you have available, and you can actually go ahead and say, I want to buy $10 worth of Apple. Click on review, and it's going to tell you based off of how much you're actually wanting to invest. You can see towards the bottom there, it says you're going to be buying 0.067517 shares. This is an estimate, of course. So you're buying about 6% of the stock with $10, which is really cool. So that way you can go ahead again, get started with small dollar amounts. So if you can't invest with the full, 140 something dollars, you're at least getting your foot in the door with being able to invest. Now, if you swipe up, again, this will go ahead and go through the process of getting it ready to go if it's not during market hours. Now, if this is during market hours, this will happen fairly instantaneously if it's able to, put that order to go through. So again, you're going to click on done, and it'll take you back to the stock page, which one last time we're going to go into our buy option here and click on now what it says dollar. And you're going to go ahead and see where it says buy in shares, and this will take you back to the page that we started with earlier. Now, again, we're going to click on shares, and you're going to see underneath there's actually this whole other section for us to go through. Now, I'm not going to go into each option individually because there are different methods to people's investing, and I highly recommend learning a lot more about all these different types of ways to go through and place an order with Robinhood. But one example here is going to be a limit order, which is personally my favorite way to go ahead and buy on the market. So with the limit order, this is going to be the maximum price that I'm willing to pay for Apple at this given time. So for this example, we're going to go ahead and put $149, and this is going to be the price that I'm willing to pay up to. So if the price for any reason goes up beyond that, before I can have that order go through, this order will not be fulfilled. But if that price ends up dropping under $149, it will go ahead and get triggered for us. So I'm going to click on continue. It's going to give us the option of, do we want to only go through market hours or extended hours? Noting that extended hours can be a little bit more volatile, so keeping that in mind. But we're going to click on continue. It's going to ask us how long we want this in force. Do we want it until the end of Monday's trading, which is one full day of trading, or do we want to go up to 90 days? We're going to go ahead until the end of Monday. And then here it's going to ask us how many shares of this stock do we want to purchase. Now, from here, we can't actually buy fractional shares, so just keep that in mind with limit orders. We can only do full shares. So from here, it's going to say we want to do one, and it's going to say at $49. We're going to click on review. Now, for this example, of course, we don't have enough money in our available to be able to go through this, so we do need to make sure we have enough buying power to go ahead and go through this process. So once you go through this, let's say you actually have $150 into your account for buying power. This part right here, once you hit review and then submit it, will actually take that $149 and kind of keep it aside temporarily to be able to place this action to go through. So that means, let's say I had that $150, you'll only have $1 available for trading because that other $149 is on hold to be able to buy this Apple stock. Now, two things to keep in mind with the limit order: that money is just on a temporary hold. And then two, if that order does not go through, so let's say by the time the market opens, your price of the price of the stock had actually skyrocketed well past $149. Well, then unfortunately that order won't go through. And by the end of the day, that money will revert back into your buying power. And then this order right over here would be fully canceled. You can also choose to cancel it yourself if you want to, but just something to keep in mind when going through limit orders, that if the price had skyrocketed prior, that you would miss out on that. So I want to show you how to sell your stock on Robinhood. So we're back here on the main page of Robinhood. And if we actually scroll down, we're going to see where it shows our stocks, and we're going to see all the different stocks that we have here. So let's go ahead and say we want to sell a little bit of our Netflix. Now we have, a little bit in the negative here, but we're like, hey, you know what? I just want to sell a little bit of our shares of this company that we have. So we're going to see our trade option here. So if we click here, it's going to bring up trade options, sell or buy. So we're going to obviously click on sell. And this is going to bring us to a page that looks very similar to the buying section of Robinhood. So it's going to ask you how many shares you want to sell. Now you can sell full shares if you want to, or you can actually even sell fractional shares if you wanted to as well. Now, because of our example here, we're just going to go ahead and sell let's say 85398 shares, just to kind of show you how fractional shares work. You can also click the button above review where it says sell all Netflix, and that will actually put all shares on there for you to be able to go ahead and sell. It'll tell you the market price, so you can see it's $285.04 as of this recording, and then it says estimated credit $528.45. Now that's really important to keep in mind, because if the price fluctuates before the sale goes through, that obviously will be different, whether it's a little bit more or a little bit less. So something to keep in mind. Now you can click on review, and it's going to show you just a little bit more of the information at the bottom here when it comes to order summary. And if you slide up, it's going to go ahead and go through this process, and it's going to say order received. Now over here you can see that it says order queued, and it's going to go through the process of selling that amount of shares of Netflix. Now because we're recording this during market close, it didn't go through instantly, where if it was during the market open, this might have just gone through right away. So the nice thing is, if I wanted to change this, I can click on view order and go ahead and cancel it if I want to, and then redo it if maybe I wanted to sell more or less of the stock. And then in the morning, once the market is open, this will go through and I'll get that notification and that money deposited into the buying power of my account. Now, here's another really important thing when it comes to selling. There's a lot more options as well. Again, very similar to being able to buy stocks. At the very top right, you're going to see where it says shares. And you can see here where it says sell in dollars. So very similar to before, but a little bit different. You can see right over here how much value we have available with Netflix. Let's say we actually just want $400 from Netflix. Like that's how much we just want to pull out. So we put in the $400, we click on review, and it's going to kind of give us an example of how much we're going to be selling in shares of Netflix to be able to get this amount. So then once you look at the summary, you can go ahead and swipe up. And again, similar to before, if you're doing this during market close, it'll put it in a queue. If you're doing it during market hours, it'll most likely go through right away, especially if you're doing the fractional shares. Now let's go ahead and go back to this option section over here again. And you can see where it says limit order, trailing stop order, or stop limit order. All of these options you can choose from when it comes to being able to sell. Again, you can go through these and learn a little bit more. Each one has that little information icon on the top right. Gives you great examples, but you can also learn more, of course, here on YouTube about that. So, let's go ahead and say that, we want to sell these for, price limit of $290. You could do that in extended hours. We could do that for the day, or we could do up to 90 days. Click continue, and then how many shares. Now, if we do limit orders, just like with buying, you can only do full shares, so you can't sell the fractional shares in this format. So you would have to do fractional shares through market order and can't do it through limit orders or any of the other functions underneath that. So for this example, if we did one share right over here, we can click on review, and then it'll be able to go through and sell the stock when it hits $290 or more. Now, obviously, if it's anything under $290, it will not sell it. So that way it'll just keep it in that account for us. But once it goes through and sells, we'll get that notification, and that money will be in our buying power. Now, once you sold your stock on Robinhood, I want to actually show you how to be able to withdraw your money from the account. So what you can do is actually click on the person icon on the right side of the screen here. See where it says transfers, click right over here, and it'll take you to the options where the top option says transfer money. Now from here, you're going to choose how much you want to transfer from Robinhood. Let's say 100, and then you choose from, and then right over here, you're going to go through your brokerage. Now you can see over here, we only actually have 88 cents available from our brokerage account, even though you saw $100.88 on the actual account. And there's a reason there's a 2 number difference, and I'll go over that in just a second. But just for, example's sake, let's say I actually did have the money available, and click on review, and then it gives you 2 different options. You can either transfer it in 4 to 5 business days, which is entirely free, or you can do instant transfer, which will be a 1.5% fee. So for this example, it's $1.50, but the more you're transferring, the higher that fee will be if you want to do instant transfer, but you do not have to. You can choose the free option if you want to. Now, once everything looks good, you can click on transfer, and then again, it'll take you that 4 to 5 business days to get back into your bank account. Now, the reason that money is not currently available for us to withdraw with that $100, just to give you this example, is because we did an instant transfer with Robinhood, which means we deposited $100 into our account, got that money instantly available for us to be able to invest with. But as far as being able to withdraw, that does actually take quite a few days, because it takes anywhere from 4 to 5 business days from that money to transfer from our regular bank into Robinhood and have that fully cleared, and then be able to withdraw that money. And sometimes that can happen with stocks as well too. So if you sell a stock like SoFi or Robinhood itself or PayPal or any of these stocks that I currently have, or any stocks you have, even though that money will show up in your buying power right away, sometimes it'll take a couple of days for that money to fully clear from selling to be able to then withdraw. So just something to keep in mind, that your money will eventually become available for you. no more than usually like 4 business days to 5 business days. Anything longer than that, you can definitely contact Robinhood support. But once you have that money available for you to withdraw, you can just go through that step-by-step process to have that money withdrawn back into your bank account. Now, the nice thing is if you sold some stock on Robinhood and want to use that money to buy other stocks, usually that money will just go right into your buying power and be able to utilize right away. Like we just mentioned, sometimes using that money to withdraw won't be available right away, but usually you'll be able to just go ahead and utilize it for other stocks to purchase. So another cool feature in the stock section here too is if you actually click the number amount on the right hand side, you can actually switch the holding display data. So you can see like percentage change, equity, today's return, total return, or even total price change. So you can change these right over here and see how much this actually changes on a regular basis for you, and you can switch them back and forth and see the different data points all at one time for yourself. Now, something else we want to actually go into a little bit more detail with is the actual stocks that you already own. So we looked at this page before with Apple when we didn't have it in our portfolio, but with companies like SoFi, for this example, we actually have another section here that you wouldn't have if you haven't owned any stock of this company. So you can see here where it says your position. It tells you how many shares of the company you have. So for this one, we have exactly 300, but if you have more than 300 with fractional shares, you'll see point and then whatever number. You can see the current market value, which is how much it's currently worth if I sold everything at this exact price that it's currently selling for. My average cost, this is how much I paid on average for every share that I own. So you can see I paid $5.67 and it's currently worth $4.61, which means I'm of course in the negative, where you can see that in the total returns. And so the total returns were down $317, which is about a little under 19%. You can see today's returns, how much that's actually gone up or down. And then you can also see portfolio diversity, which shows you how much of my portfolio is with this company based off of the overall value for it with everything else in comparison. So that's a really cool feature to kind of know that, hey, am I diversified or not? Now, one thing I just want to make clear too is 19% is pretty high when it comes to having that much into one company, but my Robinhood portfolio is actually not my main investing portfolio. So that one is okay to be a little bit higher because I have my main portfolio where is a lot more diversified. Now you could also see here the other option that's on here when you actually own a company is the recurring investment. So you can actually create a recurring investment, which is really cool. So if you click on this option here, you can choose how often you want to be investing. So let's say every week on Monday. You can click continue, which account it's going to be pulling from, buying power or your checking account. If you're doing it on a regular basis, it might just be easy to pull from your bank. You can click on continue here and then how much you want to be investing. So I want to do $25 every week, and then it's going to go ahead and go into review. You can swipe up and you can see here, now we have a reoccurring process to be able to have our money going into this account on a weekly basis to be investing regardless of the market is up or down, because we are investing for the long term. You can click on done and you are good to go. Now, if you want to change it, you can see right now it actually just shows you what the options are, and you can edit this investment if you want to, or you can keep it here as well, and so that way you are good to go. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I will have a link for Robinhood in the show notes and comments down below, so you can go ahead and get started with utilizing Robinhood. That is an affiliate link, and it does help us out, so you can get more free content just like this. And if you want to keep on learning more about using Robinhood and getting your bank account on file, check out my video right over here to learn exactly how to do that.